Hi, I'm Jason Gore for ThatShelf.com, and we're here to talk today about some David Crosby guy.
Big shelf.
So David Crosby, known mostly now, obviously for his work with Crosby, Stills and Nash, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Of course, one of the principal members of the Byrds beforehand. I think that, as crazy as it is, I think people are almost unaware that CSNY was sort of the first supergroup, as it were, taking these disparate musicians from other bands and sort of slamming them together. I mean, the first is always kind of ridiculous. In some ways, the Mamas and the Papas were from numerous bands. There's lots of things that actually collided. But the fact of the matter is that David Crosby was absolutely a foundational person within the music scene of that era. Obviously, Stephen Stills, Neil Young came from Buffalo Springfield, and Graham Nash came from the Hollies. So they do their first album, the CSN album. Young sort of becomes involved, and you have the incredible Deja Vu. There's a video on our channel where we actually break down the Deja Vu box set, the extraordinary box set with all the exceptional sort of deleted tracks, as it were. Incredible album, but what's even more ridiculous is, of course, all four of them did solo records at the same time. Neil Young, if I'm doing the math correctly, it's after the Gold Rush. At the same time, Stephen Stills' debut, the Songs for Beginners, Graham Nash, and this lovely one, If I Could Only Remember My Name. Now, the reason I'm showing off this little thing before we actually get to the records is I've shown Super Audio CDs before, and occasionally the odd DVD audio. This is actually the DVD audio mix of this record. This is a stunningly beautiful album, very much of the ilk of the kind of stuff that he was trying to bring into both Byrds and CSN, and not always successfully. It didn't really merge in the band context, but I think sort of given his druthers, this he was allowed to see his vision sort of brought to light. Incredible sense of mood and place. The cover, which will show much better on vinyl version, the cover sort of evokes this sort of the nighttime sunsetty California landscape where you're kind of out of it and kind of not out of it. I mean, you look at the back and there's his image. You get the idea of an artist truly finding his space within his solo material as somebody who struggled so often as basically the asshole in all the bands that he was in. He's an incredible talent and apparently incredibly difficult to actually work with. And that's just part of his shtick. Now, I do want to give a shout out to the DVD audio because as always, the surround mixes for so many of these classic albums are often unappreciated when they're actually done well, because so many people have either heard really shitty versions or haven't heard them at all. But this is a beautiful 5-1 mix straight from the multi-tracks. It's really gorgeously done in high resolution and completely worthwhile as an alternate vision of what this album truly is. And I've gotten many years of the pleasure of listening to this record in this way, a sweeping landscape. Also, because I'm silly, I of course have a vinyl version. This is the Rhino Vinyl, mastered from the original analog tapes for audiophile quality. This was the sort of regular release. Textured gatefold. There's that giant photo. Looks much better here. And then when you open it up, ooh, the crack. You can see again the kind of you can see how this and Deja Vu sort of really go together. A similar textured style. Similar sense of that it's kind of like a yearbook. Get all your friends together and get it all done. Graham Nash, Neil Young on here, of course, but if you start sort of digging through who's actually here, it's really a who's who of the scene, including a ton of people from both San Francisco and California, right? You have here the vast majority of the Grateful Dead on this record. When people say, like, I don't love the Grateful Dead. In fact, I don't like the Grateful Dead, but when people ask what's my favorite, if there's anything in the Grateful Dead that I actually really dig, I don't say Dylan Dead, I say this record. This record is pretty amazing. Mickey Hart, Phil Lesh, Bill Kurtzman, who else is on here? Well, Paul Kantner's on here, Jerry Garcia. They're all here. Danny Freeberg's on here. But then you have people like, I don't know, David Geffen involved. And one Ms. Joni Mitchell. Of course, if the story is to be believed, David Crosby was one of the first to actually bring her into the scene. There's a bunch of people that saw her in New York, but he was definitely somebody who was incredibly integral to her early reception, although Joni Mitchell just has to open her mouth and suddenly the entire world will fall in love with her. While she ended up being in a relationship with Graham Nash after the fact, it was David that actually produced her first record to mixed results, sonically, but creatively. I think that when the story of Joni Mitchell is told, inevitably the story of David Crosby is part of that narrative, and if that's all he did, he would be immortalized. But of course, if you actually look at this record, you really see what a tremendous musical talent is beyond the sort of way that he could actually manage to fit his songwriting in so exquisitely. Now, why are we doing this video? These have been out for a while. Well, we're doing this video because I finally received my MoFi copy of what is potentially, if word is to be believed, the last of the numbered crazy versions of MoFi on SuperVinyl. Like, it's that they're doing it sort of by period now, if it's, again, to be believed. Let's say they'll print for 5 years and then just have X number that actually come out. This one, though, is actually limited to 4,000. It was pre-ordered a year and a half ago. I have number 2374. The stamp didn't actually make it into the white box very nicely, but I can already tell that it is a similar texture background, and I do have my lovely SuperVinyl sticker there. So let's open this up. For those of you that are fans of the channel, or frankly any of you who's probably watching this, are aware SuperVinyl is this fancy compound that RTI, the pressing company, uses to make the most out of vinyl production. You will see in a moment that it is translucent, and which just is one way of delineating what it is. You can really easily see what the heck's involved, but also by reducing some of the impurities in the vinyl, it creates an incredibly quiet, very rich sounding record. Now, this is 45 RPM, SuperVinyl, not one step, which meant it was actually significantly cheaper than a one step would be. I don't have the crazy box, and actually I have a real sleeve, which I really like. Again, I don't know how they do it. I don't think they can with the way that the boxes are constructed and the way that the inners go, but I would actually prefer that Mobile Fidelity goes the way of analog productions and includes actual reproduction sleeves on the inside. That's a whole nother conversation to have. Right, so here we have a gatefold in the inside. As I crack it, oh, look at this. What a joy. So brand new, and you can see that we actually have a seam split right here. So I will have to be in touch with our friends to see whether or not there actually is replacements for this crazy limited edition cover, which is not going to work because obviously it's numbered. But there we are, brand new record right out of the seal, and we actually have a seam split right in the middle there as I opened it carefully. Oh, the joys of limited edition custom records. Inside here, we have the regular MoFi advertising spiel in, of course, MoFi sleeves. And if I open this up without too much drama, I always find after it's been traveling, it's been around for a long time, we have translucent, I don't know if you can see me, probably not, but we actually have the ability to see through, hey, I can see you, version of this. Now, again, this is not dissimilar to what I saw on previous openings. There's some fogginess. I don't know what's going on here, whether it's just the shipping, where it's going, but it looks like there's a little bit of schmutz on the surface, and a couple fingerprints. That's lovely. Right on the edge there. But again, this will go through the go through my degrader, and it should clean all of that stuff up. I'm not seeing any actual issues with the vinyl like I have. The Muddy Waters record, when I ended up opening it up, that the opening of that is actually on camera, had a white mark right sort of embedded into the vinyl. It's almost like paper actually got somehow into the press and actually got pressed into the vinyl and actually caused skipping. Now, they did send me replacements, which is nice. This is one of the things. Now, the crazy part as a Canadian is that the replacements have to be shipped with other shipments from the US. They will not just send me. And it's costing me a fortune in duty and taxes to actually have this stuff done. So it's a preposterous hobby. I don't recommend it to anybody. But if when it comes to the stuff I actually buy from a local retailer here in Canada, I'm screwing over my retailer because they're going to have to deal with replacements and all that, and it's just simply not going to work out. So unfortunately, I have to let MoFi know. Again, they do take care of me eventually, and have in the past, but I'm still waiting over a year for some of my replacements. For example, in the same shipment, I actually did get replacements of the Muddy Water outers, which is great. These are not numbered, obviously. The box itself is numbered, and it doesn't have the massive seam splits that I had. But I had seam splits on both the copies I actually bought. And so, I mean, it's great. I got, replacement sleeves. Here they are. But I need another set. So that's where we're at. It's part of the fun of this hobby. I'm certainly not alone. I don't think it's specific to MoFi, though I gotta say the way that they actually package some stuff is certainly has been an issue for many. I'm not alone in having these issues, let's put it that way. Let's just double check while we're here the second record and see if there's anything funky going on. Again, there's, it looks like a bit of schmutz just from the regular press. And it's crazy, right? Because, yes, you're pressing these over and over again and doing lots of them, but, is it possible their lights aren't bright enough? So they're not actually seeing stuff when they're actually doing QC? You would think that something like this, where there's only 4,000, it's only going to take, let's say, a couple people several hours just to go through and just make sure that they're as perfect as they can be. Yeah, I mean, this one at least doesn't look like it has any fingerprints. You are going to notice more issues because it's translucent. That's one of the things, but also that would be one of those. It's like, maybe don't send out one that has fingerprints on it. That's just a suggestion. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to seeing how these sound, which is what the most important thing is, of course. I'm extremely pleased that MoFi continues to generate this type of content for me. I'm really interested to see how the 45 RPM actually behaves compared to the regular 33 version. And because I'm a lunatic, I'm going to have all versions that I can actually compare and contrast and whatever. I know that Crosby sold his... the licensing for stuff, but at the very least, I'm going to continue to embrace karmically what he's actually done, even if it's not directly, I guess, helping him financially. I'm going to simply say that I love this record. It's one of my favorite records, and of the four that were done by the solos, it might be my favorite. It's really beautiful. I mean, I really love the one you're with too, but it's a whole thing. Anyway, stunning records. Definitely check this one out. I think in many ways this is underappreciated with the onslaught of all the other stuff that came out in the same era. So give it a shot. For that, shelf.com, I'm Jason Gorber. Thanks so much for watching. Best of luck in your collecting endeavors. Please let us know in the comments if there's anything else you would like us to take a look at. We really appreciate your help and support. Please spread the word. Follow us on social media, and we will see you next video. All the best.